Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible to you. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar, wherein we'll be talking about some of the best practices that you can utilize to begin your new fiscal year with Zoho Payroll. And this will be the part two of this particular session, which we had, previously conducted. So let's just quickly go over today's agenda. So to begin with, we will see some of the post-fiscal year tax implications based on some real-world scenarios, and then we will talk about how you can perform salary structure changes with Zoho Payroll. Later on, we will talk about IT declaration and some of the best practices surrounding that. And then later on, we will also talk about some of the best practices surrounding your payroll processing in Zoho Payroll. And then we will talk about how you can utilize other Zoho app integrations with Zoho Payroll. And post that, we will talk about some of the compliance related activities and how Zoho Payroll can assist you with such activities. And towards the end, we will also talk about some of the pro tips that you can follow to, enhance your payroll process. And finally, we will have a Q&A session wherein I'll be addressing all of your questions posted through the Q&A tab. So without further ado, let's quickly begin. All right. First up, so what is post fiscal year tax implication? So let's say you have closed the parent for the month of March, and you have a scenario wherein you will have to pay a variable pay component to one of your exited employees from the previous fiscal year. So in this case, let's say you have to pay bonus or incentive or whatever it might be. So how do you process that with Zoho Payroll? So to handle this particular scenario, Zoho Payroll has launched a feature called as resettlement pay run, using which you'll be able to process these, variable pay components to your exit employees. And let me just quickly show you how this particular option will work in Zoho Payroll. So quickly going into the product. So once you're logged in, just go down to the parents option. Here on the top right, you will have the create parent option. Just click on that. Here, once we enable the resettlement parent feature, which is currently in early access, you will have this option to create a resettlement payroll. You'll just have to click on that. And then you'll have to select the date in which you want to process this particular payment. So in this case, I'm selecting 16th of May and then saving. Here, once you have created the resettlement parent, all of the exit employees that are eligible for this particular resettlement parent will be populated here automatically. And you can also use the import employees option to bulk import these employees into this particular parent. So in this case, I have only a single employee who is exited in this organization. So here I'm just clicking on add earning for this employee. And as you can see here, you will have the option to add any variable pay components for this particular exit employee. So for this employee, I'm entering bonus as the variable pay component. And if you want to add any reduction to this particular resettlement parent, you can do the same from this particular page. So once you're done with all of your changes, you can go ahead and click on save. And as you can see here, if there is any income tax that has to be deducted for this particular variable pay amount, the system will automatically calculate the income tax amount and deduct the same from this particular pay run. And so that is how you can create a resettlement pay run to process any variable pay components to your exit employees. And there might be a scenario wherein an employee might have to claim exemptions for this particular resettlement parent. So in that case, what can you do? In such scenarios, you will have to ask the employee to claim said exemptions through the ITR process. Up next, there is another situation that an organization might encounter when it comes to post-fiscal year tax implication. That is basically after closing the parent for the month of March, an employee might come up to you and state that they have additional proofs that they want to submit to you and claim more exemption, or they might have claimed exemption for 1 lakh rupees, but they don't have proofs for the full amount. Let's say they have only proofs for 50,000 rupees. So in that case, what can you do? In such scenarios, all you have to do is you'll have to ask the employee to take this up in the ITR process and claim the necessary exemption or pay more taxes as and when required. So that is how you can handle post fiscal year tax implication scenarios in Zoho Payroll. All right. So far, we have seen some of the best practices that an organization can utilize when they are transitioning into a new fiscal year. So from here on, we will talk about some of the best practices that you can use to streamline your payroll process for the upcoming financial year. So typically, when an organization enters into a new financial year, they would want to make salary structure changes to their employees, be it salary revision or be it shuffling the existing salary components around. Let's just see how you can accomplish these tasks with Zoho Payroll. So to begin with, we will take the scenario wherein you are going to revamp the employees CTC along with their salary structure. Let's see how you can process this through our system. So quickly going back into payroll, all you have to do is go into the employee section and pick any one of your employees from here and go to the salary details tab. And here, as you can see, there will be an option to revise the employees, salary structure. So click on the revise option, and here you will have two options: whether you want the salary revision to be performed based on a percentage basis, or you can also enter a flat amount. So in this case, I'm selecting a percentage basis. I'm going to increase the salary by 10%. And as you can see, the employee salary structure, if they have any, percentage based components, all of that will be automatically updated. So you can just scroll down and here you will see payout preferences, wherein you'll have to select the revised salary effective from and the payout month. So basically what this signifies is, so let's say you're processing the pay run for the month of March, uh, and this particular salary revision has to be backdated from the month of January. So in that case, you will have to select the revised salary effective from date to Jan and the payout month as March. So basically, the system will automatically calculate any arrears that has to be given to this particular employee for this particular salary revision and add it to the pay run for the month of March. So that is how you'd be able to perform a salary revision with changes to the employee CTC. All right. Up next, we will see another scenario wherein an organization might not necessarily want to revise the employee CTC, but they might want to, add new components into the employee salary structure. So they might want to add a reimbursement component or a flexible benefit plan component or any such, earning additional earning components. So let's just quickly see how you can, introduce these new components. We will take an example of LTA and then show you how that can be created at an organization level and how that can be associated to an individual employee. So quickly going back into payroll. Once you're here, go into the settings option. Now click on salary components. Here I'm going to be adding LTA as a reimbursement component. So I'm going into the reimbursements tab. And as you can see, leave travel allowance is already present in this particular page. So just clicking on that, so you will see the leave travel allowance components configuration in this page. And as you can see here, there are three options on how you would want to handle unclaimed reimbursement amount. So basically, you can either carry forward the unclaimed reimbursement amount to the next fiscal year, or you can encash the unclaimed reimbursement amount at the end of the current fiscal year, or if your organization has a policy of encashing any unclaimed reimbursement amount in the same month, you can also select that from this particular page. And as you can see in this particular organization, I'm not able to make any changes as this component was previously configured, and the option to encash unclaimed reimbursement amount at the end of each fiscal year is already selected. So please make sure that you are selecting the appropriate option as per your organization's policy, as this option will not be able to modified in the future. So once you have made the necessary configuration here, you will have to enter the maximum amount here. So this maximum amount will be applicable to all of your employees. None of your employees will be able to claim more than the amount that is being entered in this field. So in this organization, I want the maximum amount to be 10,000 rupees for the LTA reimbursement component. So once that is done, you'll have to just click on mark this as active and select save. And once the component is active, now you'll have to go down to the employees module again and click on any one of your employees and go to the salary details page. And here, right next to salary details, you will have the edit option. Just click on that. And if you scroll down a bit, you will see the leave travel allowance component being shown here. And if you want to associate this component to this particular employee, all you have to do is enter the maximum amount for this particular employee. So if you try to override the maximum amount that we set up at an organization level, as you can see, the system will automatically reduce that to the org level maximum so that it will not be exceeded. So as you add any new components to the employee salary structure, if you scroll all the way down, you will see the employee's fixed allowance value being changed accordingly. So this will basically either increase or decrease the employee's total taxable income based on the salary structure changes that you are performing. So this is how you would, introduce a reimbursement component. So let's see how you can, introduce an allowance component in your payroll organization. To again do this, you'll have to go down to the settings option, go down to salary components, and in this case, you will have to click on add component and select earning. So once you're in this page, you will get the drop down option to add any additional earning components to your organization. Here, I'm going to add driver's allowance as an earning component, and you'll have to give this particular earning a name and also a name and payslip. So this name and payslip is what will be visible to your employees, and the earning name will only be visible to your payroll admins. So once you have entered all of those details under pay type, you will have two options, whether you want it to be a fixed pay component or a variable pay component. And also under the calculation type, you can select whether it is calculated based on a flat amount or a percentage of basic. So in this case, I want this to be a percentage of basic component. So I'm selecting that option and giving the value as 10%. Again, this value can be overridden at an employee level. Whatever you give here, once the component is associated to an employee, will be automatically applied. And you can again change it at an employee level. So once that is done, you can just go ahead and click on save, and the component is now created. Again, going back to the same employee salary details page, you will see the new component that we have just created and associate that to this particular employee. So once you're happy, you can just go ahead and click on preview so that you can see all of the updated values for this particular employee and click save. So that is how you'd be able to introduce new salary components to your employee salary structure without making any changes to their CTC. Additionally, after beginning a new fiscal year, organizations might also want to introduce perquisites to their employees' salary structure. So basically, what are perquisites? Perquisites are nothing but any out of CTC benefits that an organization gives to an employee has to be added to the employee's total taxable income. So such perks that companies give to their employees should be added to the employee so that it will increase their taxable income. So let me also quickly show you how you can add these perquisite values to your employees. So going back onto the payroll screen, so under the same salary details page, if you scroll all the way down, you will have the perquisites tab. So here, once you click on view, you would have an entire tabular column wherein we will list all of the eligible perquisites for any employee, and you can just enter the value for such perquisites here. So let's say I'm adding 10,000 under free meal perquisite, and under employee stock options, I'm adding 1 lakh rupees. So once you have made these changes, go ahead and click on save. And I'll just show you how this change will affect the employee's TDS calculation as well. So to do that, let's just quickly go to the parents option, and we will create the parent for the month of March. So once you have done that, we will just quickly check that particular employee's TDS sheet. And as you can see here, the total perquisite amount of 1,10,000 has been added here, basically increasing the employee's total taxable income and also subsequently increasing their TDS deduction. So that is how you'll be able to apply perquisites to your employee's salary in Zoho Payroll. All right. Up next, we will also quickly see how you can, use salary templates to convert your intern employees into full-time employees. So basically, where this particular option will come in is, so you have, let's say, you have an intern employee for whom there is no EPF deduction or there is no gratuity deduction being done currently. And if you want to introduce such, benefits, pre-tax deduction benefits to such employees, you would have to use the salary template option to associate them at an employee level. So let me also quickly show you how this can be done in our system. So to create a salary template, you will have to go down to the settings option. And once you're here, click on salary templates. And here I've already created a template named as intern to fresher. So just quickly opening that. And as you can see here, there are two components here, earning components, basic and HRA. Fixed allowance is the default component that Zoho Payroll provides. And we also added the EPF employee contribution component under the reduction section. So after creating the template, so you will have to associate this to the employee so that they'll be able to have the EPF deduction enabled for them. So in that case, I'm just going into the employees module again and opening up this particular employee wherein the EPF component is not enabled. And I'm just going into the salary details page again. Here, clicking on the revise option. Under salary templates, I'm going to select the new template that I have just created. So once we select that, you will get this pop-up message stating that once you associate this template, EPF contribution will be enabled for this employee. So clicking on proceed, you will see the EPF deduction being applied to this particular employee's profile. And again, you will have to select the payout preferences here. So I'm processing the pay run for the month of May. So I'm going to make this as effective and the payout month from the month of May as well. So once that is done, we can go ahead and click on submit. So once you have processed the pay run for the month of May, EPF will be enabled for this employee and the deduction will also be made. Moving on. So we were talking about making changes to employee salary structure and how you can introduce new components to your employee salary structure. Here in this section, we will talk about reimbursement components and how that will affect your employees tax calculation in Zoho Payroll. So as we have seen previously, we created. I mean, we associated a new reimbursement component to one particular employee in that test organization. The reimbursement component was LTA, and that affected the employee's tax calculation by reducing the fixed allowance component. So that is how once you allocate any reimbursement components to your employees, it will affect their total tax calculation in Zoho Payroll. And additionally, if you want to make any changes to these reimbursement components, again, all you have to do is go down to the employee salary structure page, salary details page, and use the edit option to change the employee level maximum eligible amount. And that same change will be applied in the self-service portal as well. So when they claim the reimbursement amount from the self-service portal, the new maximum eligible amount will be automatically reflected to them. Up next, another component that organizations might want to introduce when they are stepping into a new fiscal year is flexible benefit plan components. So what are flexible benefit plan components? So they are very similar to reimbursement components. So the basic gist is they will help your employees to reduce their total taxable income. So once you associate a flexible benefit plan to one of your employees, again, the amount will be taken from the employee's fixed allowance, reducing their tax deduction. And also, during the end of the financial year, their employees would have to submit the proofs to substantiate that particular flexible benefit component. So let me just quickly show you how you can create a FBP component in Zoho Payroll and how you can associate that to your employees as well. So going back into the payroll screen, again, we'll have to get into settings. Once here, click on salary components and clicking on run components and selecting earnings. And now I'm just picking up uniform allowance as the component here. So again, giving the component a name. And towards the right side, you can see the option to include this particular component in the flexible benefit plan. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is select this particular option. And also, once you select that first check mark, you will see another additional option. So once you select this, what does that mean actually? So once you select this restrict employee from overriding the FPP amount, if you associate this particular FPP component to an employee, they will not be able to modify how much amount will be declared under that component. So if this is unchecked, the employee will have the flexibility to customize their FPP declaration, and if it is checked, they will not be able to do that. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it unchecked, and I'm going to give the maximum eligible amount here. And in this case, I'm giving 1,000 rupees as the maximum amount for the uniform allowance component. Once that's done, just clicking on mark this as active and select save. Again, the same drill, going into the employees module, select the particular employee and click on the salary details page and select the edit option. And as you can see here, under the flexible benefit plan components, you would see the new uniform allowance component that we just created. And if you want to associate that to this employee, you will have to select this option. So now, once you click on save, once the employee logs into their self-service portal and sees the FPP declaration being released, they will be able to customize how much amount they want to claim under the uniform component. And vice versa, you can also make the submission for the employee by associating the amount in the admin page as well. So that is how you can create and associate an FPP component to an employee. And we will also show how you can release FPP declaration to your employees so that they'll be able to do this from the self-service portal. So to release FPP declaration, just go into the settings option. Once you're here, go down to the preferences section, and here you will have the FPP, option. Just click on release FPP declaration, and you can select the cutoff date until which your employees will be able to make the FPP declaration through the self-service portal. So that is how you can, create an FPP component, associate that to an employee, and also release the declaration so that they'll be able to restructure their salary from the self-service portal. So the next topic that we will be discussing is about IT declaration and tax regimes selection. So when we talk about IT declaration, some of the best practices that any organization can follow is to enable your employees to, perform their IT declaration as soon as possible. So it is recommended that you release the IT declaration to your employees as soon as possible, so that they'll be able to plan their investments accordingly. And additionally, in addition to releasing the IT declaration to your employees, Zoho Payroll also has the option to, perform the IT declaration from the admin console for an individual employee. We will also see how you can do that from the system. So let's just quickly go into Zoho Payroll. Yeah, once you're into Zoho Payroll, if you want to release IT declaration for your employees from the same page where we release the flexible benefit plan components, you will have the IT declaration option. So here you will have the option to release IT declaration. Once you do that, you can set the cutoff date again up until which your employees will be able to submit their IT declaration. And also you can set any custom reminders so that your employees will be, notified on a frequent basis so that they would, perform their IT declaration from the self-service portal. And additionally, you will have the option to allow your employees to switch tax regimes in this particular page. If you select this option, they will have the capability to change between the old and new tax regime. So this is how you can release IT declaration for all your employees in your organization. And if you want to perform this same IT declaration for an employee through the admin panel, all you have to do is go down to the employee section again, open that employee and go into the investments tab. And once you're here, you will have the option to submit IT declaration. So here you'll be able to make all of the necessary changes and submit the IT declaration, based on which we will calculate the employee's TDS deduction. So that is how you can release IT declaration in Zoho Payroll, and also you can submit how admins can submit IT declaration on behalf of the employees. In addition to this, if you don't want to release IT declaration for all of your employees at a single go, let's say you have employees that are joining your organization in the middle of the financial year, you wouldn't necessarily want to release it for all employees. So in that case, what can you do? you can selectively release IT declaration for these particular new joining employees so that they will be able to make the declaration from the self-service portal. Let me just quickly show you how this option will work. So again, going back into Zoho Payroll under the employees module. So here you have the checkbox right before the employee's profile picture. Once you select that, on the top of the screen, you will see the More tab. Select that and you will have the option to release IT declaration from here. Again, from the same panel, you will also be able to release or lock FPP as well as proof of investment. So if you want to do this action at an employee level, you will be able to do from this particular section. So that is how you can selectively release IT declaration for your new joining employees through Zoho Payroll. All right. Let's also see some of the do's and don'ts surrounding IT declarations, so that you can streamline your payroll process with Zoho Payroll. So to begin with, it is important to know that the previous year IT declaration, which was approved through the proof of investment selection, will be automatically carried forward to the current fiscal year. So let's say in the previous financial year, an employee has their approved POI, we will automatically fetch that data into the current year's IT declaration so that the employee doesn't have to, go in and resubmit those declarations again. But if you want to make any changes to the IT declaration, that will be possible. Even though we have synced it from the previous fiscal year, we will still allow the employees to edit those declarations so that it will be according to their requirement. And next up, another important point in terms of IT declaration will be the tax regime selection. So once you submit your IT declaration, the default tax regime that we will select is old tax regime. So if the employee wants to change the regime, they will have to compare the calculation between the old and new tax regime and select the appropriate one and click on the submit option. So let me just quickly show how this option will work in our system. So going back into payroll, again opening one particular employee under the investments tab, clicking on submit declaration. Once you click on submit and compare, you will be taken to this particular page wherein we will show the tax calculation for both old and new tax regime. And as you can see, old tax regime is selected by default. And obviously, if the employee selects new tax regime, they will be saving up on their taxes. So in this case, I'm going to go with new tax regime and click on submit. So only after clicking on the submit option, the IT declaration will be considered and used for calculating the employee's TDS deduction. Right. In addition to, we have just seen how IT declaration works in Zoho Payroll. So when you're getting into the end of the financial year, it is important that you validate the said IT declaration with the relevant proofs so that it will be in line with all of the compliance bodies in our nation. So in this case, how you can validate this? You can use the proof of investment option and collect all of those investment proofs from your employees, and we will have an approval flow wherein it will be approved by the payroll admin, and based on the approval we will either increase or decrease the employees total TDS reduction. And talking about some of the do's and don'ts surrounding proof of investment, so it is important that you select the correct month from which you would want to, use the proof of investments for your income tax calculation. So basically, organizations would, target Jan month and start collecting investment proofs from the month of Jan, so that they'll be ready for the fiscal year closing, which is in the month of March. So let me just quickly show you how you can set this particular configuration within Zoho Payroll for the proof of investments option. So once you're in Zoho Payroll, go down to settings and now go down to preferences. And here under proof of investments, you will have the option to process payrolls with approved POI amounts from. So in this case, I've selected the month of March. So only from the month of March, POI will be considered for income tax calculation. For all other months, the IT declaration will be used for income tax calculation. Again, if you scroll down a bit, you will also have other configurations for proof of investments, wherein you can allow your employees to switch tax regime even during the POI process, or you can also mandate, attachments for any proof of investment submission that your employees do. And finally, you also have the option to mandate reviewer comments. So basically, if an payroll admin is rejecting or partially approving an employee's proof of investment, they will have to provide a comment as to justify why they have made that particular reduction in the employee's proof of investment. So that is how this particular option will work. So once you're happy with these changes, you can just go ahead and click on save. So from the month of March, proof of investments will be used for income tax calculation in this particular organization. Up next, we will talk about some of the best practices that you can follow when you're, performing your regular pay runs with Zoho Payroll. So in this section, so it is recommended that any organization, to create their regular pay run well in advance of the pay date. So let's say you have your pay date as the last date of the given month. You will have to create well in advance to make sure that you're updating all of the one-time earning components that you have to allocate to your employees, and also update the LOPs and any other additional modifications that have to be applied to your employees. So this is like a general rule of thumb that we would recommend all the organizations to follow. In addition to that, if let's say you have an employee for whom the TDS reduction is more than their monthly net pay, so in that case, what will happen is their net pay will go in negative value. So you will not be able to approve a pay run which is then net pay for any given employee. So in such cases, what you can do is you can skip those employees from this regular pay run, and you can process all of this outside of the system. So that is how you'd be able to handle any negative net pay scenarios in Zoho Payroll. And again, in terms of management level employees, let's say you have a CEO or CTO that has included in your regular pay run. Some organizations might not want to pay their C-suite level employees in their regular pay runs. So in such cases as well, you can use the skip employees option to skip them from the regular pay run if required. So let me just quickly show you how you can skip an employee from your regular pay run. Going back into payroll, under the parents option. Once you click on view details, right next to the employee's net pay, you will have the three dotted option. If you click on that, you will have the option to skip this employee from this payroll. So you'll have to give a reason for this. Once you give a reason and click on proceed, this particular employee will be skipped from this regular pay run for the month of March. So that is how you can skip your employees in Zoho Payroll. All right. In this session, we will talk about how you can integrate other Zoho apps with Zoho Payroll, and how you can configure this integration to streamline your payroll process with Zoho Payroll. So to begin with, we will talk about Zoho People integration. So basically, the integration that we provide with Zoho Payroll will allow you to sync your employees' details from People into your payroll account, so that you don't have to enter your employee details twice, basically once in Zoho People and another time in payroll. All you have to do is, after configuring your Zoho People account with all of your employee details, you will come into payroll and configure the integration between Zoho Payroll and People. And based on the employee sync criteria that you select, we will sync those employee details from People into Payroll. In addition to that, we will also sync LOP days from your Zoho People accounts, LOP report, so that when you're processing the regular parent for any given month, you don't have to manually input any employee's LOP into payroll. It will be automatically fetched from your Zoho People account. So let me just quickly go over how you can configure this particular integration between people and payroll, and how you can also configure your LOP configuration. So going back into payroll, going down to settings option under Zoho apps. So in this particular organization, the integration is already active, but I will quickly show you how you can, what you will see when you're initially configuring the integration between people and payroll. So this will be the page that you will encounter once you have selected the correct people org that you want to mapped with your Zoho Payroll organization, so basically you will have to select the work locations that have to be synced from people into payroll and also the employment type. All of these configurations will be done within Zoho People. So we will basically fetch this data from your people account. So once you have mapped all of the required work location and employment types, you can just go ahead and click on save, and that will initiate the integration process and sync those employees details. And in addition to that, after selecting the work location and the employment type that has to be selected, you will be taken to this employee field mapping page. So in this page, as you can see here, there are some mandatory columns like father's name, employee number, and all of these other details. So basically, these columns that you see here will be automatically mapped and fetched from your Zoho People account. So you will have to make sure that you're updating all of these columns here for accurately syncing your employee details from people into payroll. In addition to that, you can also sync some of the optional elements from this page. Basically, employees' personal information, their PAN number, which will be required for Form 24Q generation and subsequently Form 16 generation, and also the father's name, which is again mandatory for those things. And if you also want to sync those employees' personal address or any other information that you want to sync from people into payroll, that can be done from this particular page. And it is also recommended that you update your employee's personal email address within Zoho Payroll, because the reason being, when you're processing a full and final settlement pay run for any given employee, we will not use their official email address to send all of the payslip and uh, tedious worksheet to those employees using their official email address. We will only use the personal email address for the full and final settlement pay run. So it is recommended that you update this information as well when you are configuring the people payroll integration. So that is how you can, sync data from people into payroll. And in addition to that, you can also sync LOP details from people into payroll. To configure your LOP report, you will have to do this in your Zoho People account. So quickly going into Zoho People. So once you're in the settings option, under Marketplace, you'll have Zoho. Here, click on show details. And if you have, your people and payroll accounts integrated, they will show up here. So once you're here, click on view, and under payroll cycle, you will have to configure your pay period setting. So based on this pay period that you're configuring here, we will sync the LOP details from people into payroll. All right. Talking a bit more about Zoho People integration. So, as we have discussed previously, it is required that you fill in all of the mandatory details that are required to perform the employee sync between people and payroll. So we will just quickly show you what are all these mandatory fields so that you will have a better idea when you're configuring your people and payroll integration. So if you want to get a quick idea on how this actually works, you can just click on this option on how this works. And we will give you a quick list of all of the fields that have to be updated when you're onboarding a new employee in your Zoho People account, so that when the next instancing happens, we will sync this data into payroll. And also when you're when an employee is exiting your organization, you will have to ensure that you're updating the employee's date of exit and their employee status prior to creating any given month's pay run, so that this particular exit employee's full and final settlement pay run will be created separately in addition to the regular pay run that we are creating in Zoho Payroll. So that is about integration related actions that you can perform prior to creating a regular pay run with Zoho Payroll. All right. Up next, we will quickly touch upon Zoho Books integration. So as you all might already be aware, Zoho Books is the cloud accounting software that Zoho provides. The integration that payroll and books offers is when you're processing any pay runs within Zoho Payroll, we will be posting journal entries into your Zoho Books account. So we will quickly show you how you can configure this particular integration as per your organizational needs. So quickly going into Zoho Payroll. So once you're in the Zoho Apps section, under Zoho Books, click on the Edit option. Here, under the Bank Account option, you will have to select the bank account through which you're going to process your employee's salary. So basically, in this case, I want to select Standard Chartered Bank. I'm going ahead and selecting that. And as you can see, you have some additional configurations that can be done here. So the first option would how you want to record the salary payments, whether you want it to be a single journal entry for all of your employees, or if you want individual journal entries for all of your employees. So in this case, I'm going ahead and selecting individual so that I will get separate journal entries for all of our employees. And up next, you will see the option on how do you want the journal entries to be posted in your books account, whether it should be based on accrual or cash basis. So that can also be selected here, and I'm just going ahead and selecting accrual basis. And the next option would what status do you want the journal entry to be posted in? Whether it should be in draft status so that you can have a manual verification before publishing it in your Zoho Books account, or publish it directly. So that option can be selected here. And if you scroll down a bit more, you will have the option to map any of the earnings that you have created in Zoho Payroll to any of the bank accounts that you have created in Zoho Books. So here, if you have created any custom accounts in your Zoho Books, that can be remapped here so that you'll be able to track all of the transactions that are being done in your payroll organization. So that is how you can configure your Zoho Books integration with Zoho Payroll. Right. Now we enter into a crucial aspect of any payroll related operation, that is staying compliant with all of the government enforced rules and regulations. Let's just see some of the best practices surrounding this. To begin with, please make sure that you have set up a calendar and reminders for all of the statutory filing dates and deadlines so that you do not miss out on any of these activities. Also, we will help you in identifying some of the key reports that can, assist you with this process. Right. In this section, as you can see here, we have listed down various filing deadlines that you will have to be aware of to, stay compliant with the government regulations. So in terms of TDS payments, it will be the 7th of next month. And in terms of Form 24Q, you can see the various quarters being listed here and the subsequent filing deadline as well in this little tabular column. And in terms of EPF ECR, the deadline would be 15th of every month. And for professional tax, it will vary based on the employee's work location. So it will, depend on the work location of that particular employees. So that is about the deadlines for reporting and filing. And talking about deadlines, a crucial aspect of any payroll operation would be to, generate Form 16s for your employees. So after you have completed all of the fiscal year activities, you have filed your TDS returns, you have filed your Form 24Q and Annexure 2. After doing all of this, the next step would be generating Form 16s for your employees so that they will be able to proceed with their ITR filing. So in terms of Form 16, what we will do is we will accept the part A's that you have generated from the traces portal, and Zoho Payroll will generate the Form 16 part B as well as 12BA and publish that through our system so that your employees can go ahead and file for their ITR returns. So let me just quickly show you how this option will look like in Zoho Payroll. So going down into Zoho Payroll, so once you're in taxes and forms option, you will have the Form 16s section. Once you have clicked here, you would have the option to generate Form 16. So after clicking that, in this particular organization, I've not completed the parents for a selected financial year. So that is why I'm getting this option. Once it is completed, you would be able to upload Form 16 Part A's, and we will generate the Form 16 Part B, as you can see in the section below in the screen. And after the generation, you can use the signer tool that we provide and digitally sign these Form 16 and publish the same to your employees. So that is how Form 16 generation will work in Zoho Payroll. All right, now we have reached the tail end of this session, wherein we will be sharing some of the tips that you can take away from this session to streamline your payroll process throughout this upcoming financial year. So to begin with, it is highly recommended that you are marking your employees, exited before processing any given month's regular pay run. So let's say you are processing the pay run for the month of March and your pay date is the 30th of, the last date of that particular month. We would recommend that you would mark such employee. If there are any exit employees for that given month, it is recommended that you update those exit details well before creating the regular pay run for that given month. So this will ensure that you are having a separate pay run for your exit employees and a separate one for your regular employees. Up next, in terms of again talking about exit employees, we would highly recommend not to delete your exit employees profile from your Zoho People account, as we will require this data to sync those exit employees last working date from people into payroll. So without the employees profile in Zoho People, we will not be able to sync the employees exit details into payroll. It is also required if you want to rehire that particular employee in Zoho Payroll, we would need the existing profile in Zoho People. And in line with employee exit process, so we had previously talked about proof of investment submission during the end of the financial year. So actually, if you're processing a full and final settlement payment to any employee in an organization, that FNF payment will also be based on proof of investment rather than the IT declaration that they perform. So in such cases, it is recommended that you would complete the proof of investment process for any of your exit employees before processing their FNF pay run so that they get the appropriate tax exemption. Again, in this session, we also talked about reimbursement handling. We saw the various options that Zoho Payroll provides in terms of how you can handle unclaimed reimbursement amount. So based on the configuration that you do at an component level, the reimbursement amount will either be paid as a taxable earning during the end of the financial year or at the current month wherever the reimbursement amount is unclaimed. So that is how unclaimed reimbursement amounts will be handled in Zoho Payroll. All right. Moving on. In terms of regular pay runs. So if you want to get any of the statutory reports from Zoho Payroll, it is not mandatory that you mark that particular pay run as paid. Just keeping the pay run in approved status will allow you to generate these statutory reports. So basically how this will help is you don't have to wait around till the payment is done for all of your employees to stay in line with all of the compliance related activities. So that is, if your organization's pay date is the 7th of any given month, you don't have to wait until the 7th for you to make the EPF payment or professional tax payment or all such payments. So in such cases, you can just keep the parent as approved and generate those reports and file for all of those compliance related activities. Up next, it is very crucial to make sure that any new joining employees that are joining a organization during the middle of the fiscal year update their previous employment details. So how this will affect their TDS calculation is, so if they are joining your organization during the middle of the financial year, we will have to get the previous employment details for us to accurately calculate their TDS amount. Without this, the amount that we will calculate in Zoho Payroll will be incorrect. So we would recommend that you would update all the previous employment details for all of your lateral hires in the current financial year. All right, talking about TDS deduction. So we have seen how you can process salary revisions in Zoho Payroll. Uh, During such crucial changes in an organization, we would highly recommend that you would, take a look at the TDS worksheet report periodically so that you will get a better idea as to how the TDS calculation is working in your organization. So let me just quickly show you how you can, access this particular TDS worksheet report at a parent level. So going back into payroll under the parents tab. So I'm just opening up a historic parent here. Once you're here, click on the export data option and click on payroll data. Here under the report type, you would have the TDS worksheet report. So basically this report will have all of the calculations that were performed to arrive at all of your employees TDS values. So you will have a tab on how the TDS calculation is working after you have made any significant changes to your employee salary structure or CTC amounts. Another pro tip is, enabling portal access, employee self-service portal access at an organization level before enabling them at an employee level. So basically, uh, let's say you are going to enable employee self-service portal access for one of your employees. You will have to make sure that the organization level setting is enabled before you're doing it at an employee level. So if you don't follow this order, even though the employee might receive the invite, they will not be able to access the self-service portal. So let me just quickly show you how this option will look like in Zoho Payroll. Once you're in Zoho Payroll, go down to settings. Under settings, go down to preferences. And here under preferences, you will have the employee portal option. You can either toggle this active or inactive. So this has to be active for you to be able to invite your employees to join your organization to access the self-service portal. All right. So with that, we come to the end of the session. So let's just quickly summarize what we have talked about so far in this session. So we began with some of the post-fiscal year tax implications based on some real-world scenarios, and we also talked about how you can perform salary structure changes with Zoho Payroll, with or without change in your employee CTC. We also discussed about IT declaration and how that will, affect your employee's tax calculation, and we also ran through some of the best practices that you can follow when you're processing pay runs with Zoho Payroll. And in addition to that, we also saw some of the best practices that you can follow when you're integrating Zoho Payroll with other Zoho applications. And towards the end, we also discussed about some of the compliance related activities and how Zoho Payroll will, assist you through such compliance activities. And finally, we shared some of the pro tips which you can utilize to streamline your payroll process. And with that, we will be entering the Q&A session. Right. We have a question from Swarnalata here. Section 80 DDB, there is a difference in exemption limit. So, Ms. Swarnalata, regarding this question, it seems to be, very nuanced. So, kindly reach out to support@zohopayroll.com, and we will, assist you with, getting this particular query resolved for you. We have a question from Ashmita here. So they have asked, can we have payout date instead of month for salary revision? So yes, Ms. Ashmita, so we can have a date-based salary revision in Zoho Payroll. So please drop an in-app request and we will validate that request with you and enable the same for your organization. We have a question from Mahuya here. Can there be a call guidance to solve few confusions in payroll? So yes, Ms. Mahuya, we can definitely get on a call with you to get your issue sorted. So you can always reach out to to our support team, and we will assist you with any of your payroll related queries. Yeah. We have a question from Mr. Mohan here, and they're asking, my admin writes with my director how you can edit the changes in employee IT declaration for metro or non-metro. If possible, please enable any other solution, please. So yes, Mr. Mohan. So an admin can edit any IT declaration that an employee submits, as we have shown in this session previously. There is an option to do that. Let me again quickly show that over to you. Show that to you. So again, sharing my screen again. So I hope my screen is visible now. So once you're in the admin console, just go to that particular employee's profile and click on the investments tab. And they would have already made an investment declaration here. Click on the edit option. And since this employee has selected new tax regime, there is no exemption. Let me pick another employee. Yeah. Once you click on the edit option, here the admin can, go ahead and change the metro or non-metro setting for that particular employee. I hope that answers your question. Right. We have a question from Mr. Aravinda. So they are asking, we have 3 different payroll locations with 3 separate PF statement codes. How to generate the statutory reports for PF, ESI, TDS, professional tax? So far we can't. So in this case, Mr. Arvinda, so the only option here would be to create a separate organization for your various entities, because under a specific payroll organization, you'd be able to update a single PF number. You will not be able to add multiple PF numbers or ESI or TDS details as well. So you'll have to create separate locations for your 3 work locations and manage that in your Zoho Payroll account. Right. We have a question from Desi Khan. So they're asking, in the payroll journal, there is no narration/remarks. How will we identify the entries? So the journal entries that we pass from Zoho Payroll into Zoho Books will be marked as payroll journals or manual journals. So these journal entries will not be editable. And if you're having any issues with identifying these specific journal entries, please reach out to our support team. We will definitely assist you in identifying the journal entries that we are passing from Zoho Payroll into your Zoho Books account. A follow-up from Ms. Desikan. So they are not using Zoho Books. So in this case, the journal entries will not be applicable. So we'll only pass journal entries if you're having Zoho Books integration with your payroll account. We have a question from Ms. Swarnlata here. So they're asking, nil TDS transactions are not included in 24Q. So, Ms. Varnlata, in this case, nil TDS employees will be included in the Form 24Q that we generate. So, if you are not seeing those nil TDS employees in your Form 24Q, kindly reach out to our support team with the text file, and we will go ahead and check and assist you with this particular issue. We have a follow-up from Mr. Mohan here. So, they're asking, instead of editing for 1,000+ employees, any other option? Not possible to check every employee location to edit metro or non-metro. So, Mr. Mohan, in this case, you can use the bulk import option and update the employees, metro or non-metro section selection. Apart from that, there is no other option to update this particular setting for the IT declaration for any of the employees. All right. We will take this as the last question. I can see we have a question from Mr. Major Ramesh. So they're stating, I'm seeing that the TDS calculated by payroll does not match that is calculated by the IT department, and I'm receiving a demand for short reduction. So in this case, Mr. Ramesh, please reach out to our support team with all of the documents that you have received from the IT department, as well as the Form 24Qs that we have generated, so that we can, get this issue checked and sorted out for you.
Thank you, Ramanathan, for the presentation. Thank you, team, Bharat, Aravind, and Aditya for answering all the questions. We would like you to join for all our expert talks with the same enthusiasm that you joined for this. And for the upcoming expert talks, we will be sending out the registration forms through emails and within the product for you to register and attend. So we are awaiting you to see you in all the expert talk sessions. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, team.